Today we're talking about how we build diversity in ed tech. Next.
Today we've got Franz Davis with us on the show, and she is, are you ready for this? This is a mouthful. She's the Executive Director of Professional and Digital Learning in Luffington, Texas, which is a suburb of Houston. She also, we just found out, has recently moved. She moved to a new house, and she cut her commute from 6 hours a day down to 10 minutes a day. That's a whole new life you just gained right there, isn't it, Franz?
Oh, absolutely. I do need to say that I'm from Lufkin, Texas, and we're actually not a suburb of Houston. We're like 90 minutes away from Houston, but we're close enough to Houston that sometimes I'll just claim it.
Yeah, I hear you there. So what diversity in ed tech? I mean, why diversity in ed tech rather than just education? What is your passion?
My passion is learning and voice, really. I mean, I was a teacher in a building where I was the only teacher of color in the whole building that wasn't an athletic coach. And in terms of technology, I've been to educational conferences. I've worked with tons of educational leaders who come from all walks of life. But when you walk into a tech conference or a place that is very tech-centric, it is very white. And that is an issue. I remember going to my first few events and being the only one like me in that room. And we were having discussions that really related to kids, specifically children of color, that the other people in the room really didn't understand the kids that they were working with. And sometimes those conversations went to a place that I felt very uncomfortable going. And it just creates this space where it's almost like you feel like you don't belong. And it's something that probably you don't really recognize or understand unless you're that person that feels like you don't belong. The same thing exists when you go to places like, I'll say ISTE, because that's one of the biggest ones. Our affiliate is called TCEA, and we would count on our fingers maybe 5 people like us who were there, who were learning and who were sharing. And so why is it that in this space, there were not enough or sometimes none, no people of color who were sharing what they were doing with their students, who were sharing perspectives from how maybe we go about using technology or even building leadership. You know, I remember talking to my former tech director, and it's really funny because I'm in this role now, but he was talking about it. Yes.
Franz, hang on one second. We're getting tons of clicking, so I'm going to edit the part out I'm saying right now. I think it's because your microphone is touching your necklace right here. Getting all kinds of clicking on there the whole time. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so go back to if you can back up a little bit in your story.
I don't even know where
cool.
to back up to.
I would go with like conversation because that's a good piece of this is the experience you were having at ISTE.
Yeah, I can talk about definitely the experience at ISTE, where you would walk into the digital square, you would go to sessions, and I might see 1 or 2 or maybe 3 people of color who were there as experts. And some that I've talked to maybe inside conversations who were doing some of the same work or even better, but they weren't recognized. One particular instance, this really happened to me. My very first ISTE was actually only 3 years ago. And I was standing with, a person who is considered, but is considered a really big voice in this whole world of educational technology. And we were in a circle around people that we've all communicated with on Twitter. But as he was standing there, everyone was completely gravitated toward this very charismatic, blonde hair, blue-eyed. And I'm not trying to make it about race at all, but just hear me out. They're standing there, they're listening, they're talking, they're all in the conversation, high-fiving, they're doing all of these things. The very same people that I have talked to on social media and whatever the work we do. And I'm watching him get credit for work that he actually had not done, and he continued to keep the credit for the work that he had done, but not one time did they look beyond that one person in that group. And that was such an eye-opening experience. So I've had some kind of doozies like that, but I've had some great experiences. The only thing that I say is we learn more when we're around people that come from different walks of life, that bring different experiences. And if we're not inviting people in and we're not hearing those different experiences, then we're missing part of the story.
So, Franz, you see it as like an invitation issue, or is like, how do we get here, or how do we change it? Like, I guess that's where we really want to go, because we want to provide the platform for change, for improvement. So maybe starting off a little bit with maybe where do you see the problem, and then how do we get there to a solution?
I think that there are two parts of that problem. There's definitely an invitation issue. There's also an issue of schools that do not recognize the people that they have in those spaces. And I'm sorry if you just heard a little bleep, I just turned that off. There's also a problem, I'm sorry, with schools that are not recognizing the leadership that they have in place or encouraging teachers to share out of their classroom. We tend to gravitate toward the teacher who has her arm up the highest or his arm up the highest, and not necessarily to the people all the time who are doing great things in class, because sometimes we view them as unapproachable. We view them as too street. We view them as not someone that can hold a room or contain the attention of people in the room. And that's something that internally as leaders that we have to change. Myself, I've been speaking on this issue for a while. I wrote a book about it and people have been reading it. But after I spoke up about it, I started getting calls from different people inviting me to spaces. And I did something after a few of them that, I think more of us need to do. Instead of inviting just me, I gave them other people to invite. You need to talk to the Sarah Thomases, the Regina Schaefer's who's here, the Patricia Browns, the Nicole Howard. You need to talk to all of these other different people because they're doing blended and learning, and they're doing it in diverse places, and they're doing it with kids that would probably be a discipline issue in another school, but are thriving in their school. And you need to see what they're doing, and you need to learn from them. And everybody needs to do that. It can't be just, I don't want to be the one person that speaks on this issue. I can open a door, but there are tons of people ready to come in. People have to be open to doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Franz, I don't know if this is like what your experience is, but when you work with companies as well that are providing ed tech sources and apps and all that, there's very little diversity in those groups as well, that are coming in and serving as providers of these tools. And so I think that's another piece of this whole issue too, isn't it? Isn't it like both sides, not only inside the school system, but in the providers as well?
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite things to do, it's even if I've been to any tech event, is you walk the floor and you see who's there and you start asking questions. I think there is one company who does get it, and that's Remind. And I will admit, and they know it, at the beginning of their journey, I was very tough on Remind because they seem to target the same group of ed tech leaders that we would consider in this space to be kind of the voice of their product. And those people weren't really authentic. They were really, you can really tell it was more of an advertised paid message instead of a real message. But lately, they've really tapped into not only diversifying the people that work within that company, but then also tapping into trying to get more people to just involved, and not just to promote Remind, but to give them insight into how they can better serve communities. And I think that matters. I know that tech companies have to make money. There is a definite documented issue about diversity in the tech space, period. I think that same issue exists in schools because schools sometimes still hold a standard that you have to have had a leadership role in a tech company in order to lead in a school district in the area of technology. And if you look at the data NC WIT put out about the percentage of women, the percentage of people of color that are involved in that tech space, it's less than 3%. So if that's the standard you're holding to hire your technology leadership, how do you expect those leaders to be anything but the same people that we typically see? I'm pretty fortunate. I mean, I'm in a school district. My superintendent is a woman of color, but she's an amazing leader because she's an amazing leader. It's not because she's a woman. It's not because she's a woman of color. It's because she has fire under her feet and she knows what to do to get things right. But she also took a chance on me coming into that school district, and I had to hire people, and I didn't hire people just looking at race at all. I mean, I was looking for people who were connected, people who were out here doing the work, and I didn't care who it was. I wanted people who were going to be there to do what we needed to have done. The problem that we have in this space is people tend to look at the people with all the Twitter followers instead of people who are actually doing the work. And if that doesn't change, this won't change.
Wait, Rafan. So Twitter followers doesn't equal like your ability?
Not at all.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Oh, did you want me to expand on that?
No. You know what? It would be great.
I thought the more Twitter followers you were, the better teacher you were.
Moving forward.
Oh yeah, to move forward. One of the things I was asked for. So I've really been trying to stay connected with the Future Ready initiative. And especially since in my school district, that's one of our goals is to be a Future Ready district, whatever that means. And so I've looked at I know the summits are about to kick off again, and I'm really, really happy to have been a person that could provide some people that maybe the leaders that are running that initiative can go to, so that they can not just get the typical people with the most followers, but to get more voices in those spaces. I'm involved with ISTE's digital equity community, and that was an opportunity that came long before my ISTE Ignite, but it's been a really kind of eye-opening in building the team for that and building what our target would be and what we talk about. I think that when you talk about solutions, the biggest solution that we can have is to be intentional. I had a quote that diversity is not something that happens by chance, it happens by choice. These top tier events that say we're going to do it by a lottery system in order to get people in versus targeting specific people to come, I think is the wrong way to go. I think you have to say, we need to have more than just people who work at schools that teach all rich kids, and you need to get people that work at schools that teach the average or below average kid, and you need to get more than just white males. You need to get women, you need to get people of color into these events. I'm fortunate to be keynoting a few events next year, and that was one of my conditions at a lot of these places, is to bring people with me, and I'm doing that. But the more conversations that I have with other people, I mean, Joe Mazza is one I have to give him kind of a quick shout out because, and I don't think he'll mind me saying it. If any of you know Joe Mazza, Dr. Joe Mazza, sorry. But he does a lot of work in the Philly area, and he's been on a few panels that were all white panels, and we've had discussions about it. But he came back and he said, well, Franz, I went back to the organizers and said, you know, can we look at some other people? Who's on this panel? Why is this an all white male panel? Why can't we bring in more people? And he's really been working on his end to make sure that he does that. More people do need to do what Joe Mazza does. You need resources and ideas. Educolor it's another initiative that I'm involved with. Educolor, created not by me, but by Jose Vilson. And then we have a steering committee that has helped really put Educolor into place to look at the resources through Educolor, or even reach out. If you're looking for somebody or you're looking for voices, use the hashtag Educolor and say, hey, I'm looking for help on XYZ. Can anybody help out with that? And you'll be surprised at how many responses that you'll get from people that you would have never been connected to prior to that.
Yeah, I think supporting organizations that do reach out is another way for all of us to say, hey, you're going the right direction, ISTE or whoever it might be, by making those choices intentionally.
Right.
Excellent. All right. Well, Franz, you got some great stuff for us. They're very inspired. I just want to hear, can you just kind of like go off for a minute, like maybe on your audience in terms of not talk to us, but talk to people that are watching and just say, listen, you, whoever that person is, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want to call you to do to make a difference. Can you give us a little impassioned speech to somebody in our audience? Or
I'm going to try. I don't really understand exactly what it was that you just said, because you went all robot on me.
Okay. I want you to talk directly to our audience and
Absolutely.
tell them what you would have them to do to make a difference. I'm going to
talk directly to your audience because I think that the main change that needs to happen needs to be at schools. So the one thing that we can do are the things that we can control. Learn from the people around you. Learn from the person down the hall that you haven't talked to. Go to that person who is really great with connecting with the students in their class, specifically students of color. If there is a struggle, find out what is helping. Get into communities and get involved. As you're supporting who your leaders are in your district and who gets to represent your school districts in places, you make sure it's not the same person who happens to be the one person in the district with 16,000 or 20,000 Twitter followers, but someone who really has a passion for sharing. That makes a difference. You know, I came from a school system where I was in room C105 was my classroom. And had I never had the opportunity to step out and to lead and to teach and share, I wouldn't be here today. But more than that, I also had administrators beyond my initial school who saw something in me. So my other piece of advice is to, when you see something in people, let them know that you see that in them and help build them up to do it. Because sometimes I might feel like I can be a leader, I can share, I can be an expert, but if you never have that encouragement to do it, it's really difficult to step out and do it. And there is a question, Jake Duncan asked, who are these organizations? Specifically Educolor for sure. And I'm guessing that's the organizations you're talking about getting involved with or to learning more about. There's another organization, NABSE, it's the National Alliance of Black School Educators. There are affiliates all over the country. Here in Texas, we have TABSE and a conference every year where people of leaders come in and convene. But I'm also pushing them on something too, is I would like there to be a technology leadership pipeline where we can build clusters of leaders, of people who need the support and need to know, how can I be a voice in this space? But maybe they don't have the access to do it in their own community. So if you see of people, or if you want to start something like that in your area, by all means do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Franz. Well, we're going to switch gears right now with you. If you don't mind,
That's
we're going to play a little game. Is that okay?
It better be easy.
All right. I'm going to pause for a second. I'll be editing this part out. I'm going to go see if I can try to disconnect anything.
Yes.
Because am I still glitching for you guys? Okay, hang on just 1 second.
Hey, Franz, I think that was fantastic. And, you know, like I said, when I heard you at speaking at that conference over Periscope, you know, just the passion you brought to this topic, I think was important for, you know, our audience to hear, and we're thankful for you. So
thank you. There's a lovely and an amazing group of people that I can't wait for us to hear more from. This work is happening, and it's happening whether the space is given to people or not. It's happening.
Yeah.
And I'm just really proud to be a part of it, that maybe one day we won't have to have this conversation because it'll just be normal.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you talked about Nicole Howard. She's one of my favorite people.
Mine too.
We did Ed Camp OC together. So.
All right, so here we go. So a little birdie told us, Franz, not a blue and white one necessarily, but a little birdie told us that you're really into the Big Bang Theory TV show. So we're going to play a little game with you today that we're going to call the Big Rabang Theory, as in Franz. And by the way, I looked up your name on the internet. You are like the only Franz Davis on the planet.
I am the only Franz Davis, but I am not the only Franz. There's some German guy with my name, and it's annoying because I've asked for it because he's on Twitter. He's at Franz, and I want at Franz, but he won't give it to me.
Everybody tweet
Give it
at
to her.
Franz.
Come on,
and
Franz.
Bug him until he gives
And
it up.
tell him.
He hasn't even tweeted in a long
Say,
time,
give
but
up
he
that
won't
name.
give me that name.
Don't be selfish, Franz. Come on. Okay. So the big rabang theory with Franz Davis here. And Scott, why don't you tell our audience who Franz will be competing
Franz
for
Davis, you will be competing for Regina, a specialist in Jersey.
Yay.
If you're able to answer 2 out of the 3 questions correctly, Regina will be awarded a free download of an album by the ridiculously popular edgy rock band Rockin' the Standards.
Okay, so are you ready, Franz? Let's see. Have you watched it like religiously, like many times?
I have,
or what?
but I'm a little rusty. Yes, I have every DVD and I own them all digitally.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which
Well,
episode
Regina,
did they find the time
Regina's
machine?
getting nervous.
I'm nervous. Wait, what did you say?
No, I'm just teasing. That wasn't a joke. I mean, that wasn't a question.
I hope not, because I don't know them like that.
Okay, so here's your first question on the big rabang theory. Number 1, what video game does Penny become addicted to in the beginning of season 3? Is it A,
World of Warcraft?
or is it B,
Age of Conan?
or is it C?
Royal Quest?
Okay, so those are your 3 choices. You only have 3 to choose from. Is it World of Warcraft, Age of Conan, or Royal Quest? Which game does Penny become addicted to at the beginning of season 3?
Here's what's sad. I remember the episode. I know it wasn't World of Warcraft because that's way too easy and they wouldn't have done that. Maybe it's
So you got Age of Conan or Royal Quest? And that's correct. It is Age of Conan. Woo! Okay, we're going to pause for a second again. You disappeared on your video again on my end. Is she gone over there? Okay, so Franz, pop out again and then pop back in, okay?
Yay!
I have no idea what just happened, but let's go for it.
You just got question 1 correctly.
Yay! That was a guess.
Okay. Well, it was a good guess. You had it right. Question number 2 on the big rabang theory. What instrument does Leonard play? What instrument does Leonard play? Is it A?
A cello.
No.
Is it B? The
drums.
Nope.
Or is it C?
The piano.
Oh, those are the only choices?
That's the only choices. There's no D. There's no none of the above.
Then it has to be the drums.
It has to be the drums. Okay, well...
Am I wrong? Because Leonard does not play the cello. Amy plays the cello.
I'm sorry. It's not the drums. It's actually the cello.
Well, Amy plays the cello.
Well, not according to my research.
Well, I think your research is wrong. Hold that thought.
It wouldn't be the first time.
She's Googling it. I can see. Okay, well, if you can prove me wrong, then we'll give you that one right. But you still do have one more chance.
Wow, Leonard plays Amy plays the harp. Dang it, how did I miss that? Okay, fine.
Okay, so here's your third and final question. No pressure or anything.
I'm so sorry, Regina. I know you really want this CD.
Okay, well, here we go. Question number 3 in the big rabang theory is, what scares Sheldon about Penny's car when she drives him to work in the Euclid alternative?
You got this one, Franz.
Is it A?
His seatbelt doesn't work.
Or is it B?
The check engine light is on.
Or is it C?
She drives without her contacts.
It's the check engine light.
The check engine light. Now, you do realize you have to get this last one right in order to get it now, right?
Okay.
I like the suspense building, Tim. Nice job.
Yes.
I'm so scared right now.
That is the correct answer.
Yes.
It is B. The check engine light is on, and so that's what makes Sheldon scared about driving with Penny. So, Scott, how did Refrans do on today's big Rabang theory quiz?
Well, Refrans, you've got 2 out of 3 correct, and that's good enough to be a winner.
Hey, it's just like the state of Texas test assessments. You have to fail to win. Yay.
You didn't fail.
Congratulations, you won absolutely nothing. But Regina Schaefer in Jersey, you just won a free download of Rockin' the Standards album, the Edgy Rock Licious music for grades 2 through 6.
Woohoo! She's cheering out there. Okay. Well, congratulations, Regina, and thanks for being a good sport for Franz and for sharing your passion and just some great stuff with our audience today and with us. How can your new fans connect with you after seeing the show
Twitter
today?
at Refrans Davis. My blog is refransdavis.com.
And hopefully soon at Refrans too. I mean, also not at Refrans too. Wait.
Well, if he won't ever give me my name. If he ever does,
All right.
Not
Hey,
number
well,
2, yeah.
Thank you again, Refrans. It's an honor to have you on. We really appreciate it. And
Uh-oh. Audio only. Okay.
let's try that again.
Okay, Refrans, you there? Okay. Well, thanks for watching.
Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad.